Tonight on This Week in NASCAR.
Jimmie Johnson, 4th win at Dover.
News.
We've got Chad Knaus and the Inside Scoop. Next, we head to the Tricky Triangle.
This totally is truly a unique racetrack.
The roster of winners at Pocono includes stars from the past. We've got a new first-time winner. Hamlin, the rookie, wins.
Twin starts now. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Hi, everybody. Glad you're with us. Steve Burns with a room full of winners. Yeah, Chad Knaus and Michael Waltrip. And Chad, before we talk about your big win yesterday, we have to give Michael props for the 600.
Awesome job.
Because the race, very nicely done.
Thank you.
Because the race ran late, we didn't get to do a show.
I know. I was on the door knocking at like 5 to 8. I'm saying, hey man, let's talk about all this. What a great day it was for MWR to get our win in just the beginning of our 3rd season. We're real proud of that. We're real proud of what we've been able to pull together. And then
that's love
I told David it was love because he's not a good hugger. If you ever noticed him, he'll give you a sideways hug. You know, he doesn't accept hugs. And I was telling him the whole time while it was raining, and that's why he was so pensive. Not about the rain. I kept saying, if it comes, if it rains, I'm bringing it, and it's going to be real, and I want it all. I want to feel the love. And,
Bring it in.
And David does this a lot. He was like, Mike, and I said, I'm pretty excited too. So.
During one of the last rain fills, I walked over to Michael. Michael goes, do you think we'll have a show tonight? I'm like, why don't you win the race? We'll do that first.
We didn't have a show, but what a great day for us. And Chad knows how hard these things are to win. Occasionally, the fastest car will win, but ask Kyle Busch. If the fastest car or truck would have won all the nationwide races and the truck races this year, he would have just won them all.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so hard to win. And on Sunday, I think what Chad and those guys accomplished with Jimmie racing to the front late in the going with the fastest car, that's almost more of an anomaly than it is anomaly. Thank you. Than it is.
He said pensive and anomaly in the same segment.
What I'm trying to say is David was nervous, and it's almost crazy that it actually happens that way. You know, that the fastest car is able to win.
The thing that's the coolest part about Michael's win, honestly, is it just shows it's a team sport. It really is. A driver can go out there and do his job, and the picker can do their job. And if they don't have the right crew chief doing his job, they're not going to be able to win the race. You know, and this is a deal to where the car was running well, the picker was doing a good job, and Roddy made a great call, and he won the race for that team. I think he did a great job, and hats off to him.
Yeah, Rodney Childers did make a great call. Well, our headline. Well, how about that 48 team? Jimmie Johnson wins for the 42nd time, Chad Knaus, the 180th win for Hendrick Motorsports in 25 years.
That's a lot of wins. That's awesome. You know, we've got.
Wow. That was fun, huh?
That was close, man, right there. It all could have been over right there. And, you know, hats off to Tony. I mean, he raced us really, really clean. He did a good job, and he saw us coming. He's like, look, if they get to the outside, I'm not going to rough them up or anything. And I appreciate that from Tony.
Chad, you guys had some trouble on a pit stop, and that puts you back. You guys at that point had led close to 300 laps, put you back 9th. Yeah. In your heart of hearts, did you think, oh boy, we're in for it now? Or did you think, you know what, our car's that good, Jimmie's that good of a driver, we'll get back to the front?
Yeah, it was tough, and it's unfortunate. My picker does a great job most of the time, and they unfortunately just had a little hiccup right there, and it happens from time to time. It really does, and we were in a good situation right there to where we had a great race car. Jimmie was still very, very fresh because he hadn't had to race a whole lot throughout the course of the race, so he had a lot of energy left, and I was like, I think we can get back into the top 5, Jimmie. I really think that we got a shot at getting up there and doing something really special. And man,
did you think you were going to win?
I thought that we had a shot at it.
You thought you still could win.
Right.
You didn't throw throw it out the window and say, let's get us a top 5 and go home?
No, not at that point. You know, I wanted to get into the top 5 and then reassess, and that needed to be our goal. The thing that I did want to have happen is what happened to us in Las Vegas in the spring of this year, where we had a similar situation, and Jimmy's driving up, passing a bunch of people on the outside, and we crashed. So needed to kind of calm everything down a little bit and then let him go.
Michael, how about the day for Michael Waltrip Racing? I know you lost an engine, but how about in its totality?
Yeah, it was a tough day for us. That's the second engine in 3 races, and you shouldn't see that these days. That's not acceptable. Our car wasn't great, but it wasn't bad in the middle of the race. At the start, it was really loose. We got it tuned up, and I was really pleased with how it was running. David started out great, and his car went away. So Chad will test, and we all know that these cars are really difficult to keep on target. You know, they can waffle in a hurry. When you have one that starts out, I think, the race good, it's easier because you just say, okay, we're not going to touch it, or if we do, we're just going to tweak at it. When you got one that's off the beginning like mine, or goes away like David's did, it makes it a hard day. But David finished 18th, still totally in great shape to make the chase for the championship, and that's our focus, is to make sure that David has all the resources, parts, pieces, and people he needs to race into the chase, because that boy can drive, and it's fun to watch that kid drive his car, and we want to get the Aaron's Dream machine in the chase.
And then something else that you have to realize is that, talk about momentum. You know, they just come off the win at the 600 in Lowe's Motor Speedway, and then they go to Dover and sit on the pole. Rodney Childers and Dave Ruderman did. You know, I think it's neat to see that. It's fun to see guys like that when they're starting to click and they're starting to get things together, to go out there and start to have a lot of success. It's fun. You could see them. They had smiles on their faces. The team was uplifted. It was nice.
Every day that goes by, I love Rodney Childers more and more, the job he does. He analyzes his car versus the other cars. He's driven every car. You know, he's raced. He looks at every car with such passion. He'll like, well, that guy's nose was a little bit lower earlier, but you know, he just really dissects the cars.
I like Rodney Childers. He's one of those kind of quiet, under the radar guys, but very good at what he does. Well, our other panelist, Greg Biffle, spent some time out front. He finished 3rd. Here's what the Biff said after the race.
Hey guys, this week finally bounced back in the old 16 car, NASCAR Ford Fusion. 3rd place finish, just way too loose at the end of that race. Spent all day in traffic, got caught a lap down. Don't know how that worked. 48 was the leader, I was running 2nd. Now the 48's still a leader and I'm a lap down. So anyway, I understand. I go where they tell me to go. Anyway, worked our way all the way back to the front. Once I got out front, way too loose to put the power down. Congratulations to the 48. They were the class of the field today.
He was pretty sporty himself.
Yeah, the 16 car was tough, and we knew that we were going to have to race those guys and thought that they were going to be a contender. And then towards the end of the race, he did get pretty loose and wasn't able to keep up with us. But the reason that we stayed on the lead lap under that situation when the caution flag came out was he actually pitted the lap before the caution came out. So he was actually passed by the leaders. The lap that we were on pit road is when the caution came out. So what we did is, when the caution came out, is we were just dropping our right sides. We had enough time to change our left side tires and get to the start-finish line before the leaders came back around and crossed the start-finish line. That kept us on the lead lap. So, and
that's race car drivers shouldn't judge NASCAR. They've pretty much got it all figured out.
Yeah.
It's just accept it. You're a lap down. Okay, well, how? The other guy didn't get a lap down and you did. Then just say okay. Because there's a lot of racing left to go. You can't worry about what happened back then, because with computer timing and scoring, and with the folks up in the tower, Mike Kelton, David Hoots, those guys, Steve O'Donnell, they got it. They understand it. They get it. So they're not going to mess up very often.
Biff was pensive.
He was, and he was also, it was almost an anomaly the way he was talking.
He's a good hugger, though, I hear. Right after this, 2 teammates tangled on the track. You'll hear what was said in Radioactive. The Monster Mile reached up and bit a few guys, including one running 2nd. All the Dover highlights up next. 2 drivers have won their first race at Pocono. Denny Hamlin is one. Do you know who the other is? We'll be right back.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Brought to you in part by AutoZone, because do-it-yourself doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. And by Z-Max, performance you can feel.
Well, as Chad and Michael said, some drivers struggle to keep up with the racetrack yesterday, including Chad's teammate Jeff Gordon and his crew chief Steve Letarte. At one point, Jeff Gordon said, "Boys, we're in big trouble. I am wrecking loose." Steve Letarte said, "Well, hang on. We'll get hooked up at a caution." He said, "Well, if we don't get help, I might be the caution." Let's listen to Radioactive.
10-4, got you. Check 1-2. I got you there. You got me okay? Got a copy. 10-4.
Sunny skies ready to roll in Dover, Delaware for 400 miles. This is a track full of surprises.
I'm
may bug you about every 10 laps and let us know how it's going so we can make proper adjustments this first time.
10-4. Just talk.
And we are underway. Roaring off down toward turn number 1. David Ruderman gets a great start. He gets out front all by himself.
We've got a green racetrack to deal with.
Sometimes it runs good, then it'll run real tight for a couple laps, and then it'll do okay. It's weird.
I think the track's tightening up, and I need it back to how it was at the start. Earlier in the race, it started off free, so it's certainly coming to us. We're tightening up.
Loose in, loose off, loose everywhere. So I can't even see straight. I'm so sideways. Hey, Tom, I want you to come this time. 3, 2, 1, 4 tires. Caution's out.
Caution is on the speedway.
Sides only, right sides only. Leave on right. We're going to beat it to the start finish. Right side. Drop it. 38.
We're going to be the leader, buddy. 10-4. Yeah, we got lucky on that one.
You knew it was coming, but I didn't want to lose too much ground to those guys that were pits, so good work.
Cool chilling right now. You want me to go up through all these guys or what?
You're being smart. The 16 is coming. He's been running about 2/10 a lap faster than us.
Well, we got teammates racing hard up here.
I don't think they like each other. I think we're going to be pitting here, bud. You go ahead and act like you're pitting. I'll call you off at the last second. I got a good shot here.
What do you think? I think only if you can be in the lead. I think we can beat them off the pit road if they come in front of you.
We're going to hook you up right here, bud. Running in third right now.
Go. Clear out. Haul ass man. Go. Damn it, guys.
The green is out, and the Biff is on the gas, trying to get away from Tony Stewart.
And more laps, man. You're the fastest car on the racetrack right now.
Biffle goes up the racetrack. Smoke comes back to the bottom. He'll go to the lead, side by side, and Jimmy Johnson has arrived on the scene as well.
It's going to be some wild finish.
Boy, you got him, dude. You got him. New leaders, 48.
This time, the best car does win. Jimmy Johnson, who led 297 laps today, comes home as the winner.
You guys make coming to work fun. Thank you. Woo! Jimmy, thank you for saving my butt today, bud. You bailed us out big time.
You guys are the best. Don't forget it. This is just the start of a kick-ass season for us. Right here, boys. I love you.
And that's why Chad Canals says it's a team sport. Chad, I want to ask you about organizationally speaking, Hendrick Motorsports. We had Alan Gustafson on trackside Friday night. He said he didn't think the crew chief change at the 88, Tony Eury Jr. being reassigned, Brian Weitzel and Lance McGrew coming in to help Dale Earnhardt Jr., he didn't find that to be a distraction. How about from your point of view?
No, not really. I mean, obviously it's out there. It's in the media, and everybody's talking about it. It's a big story. You know, I mean, Dale is the most popular driver in our sport, so there's going to be a lot of media coverage, and it's hard to completely isolate yourself from that. But it actually came as a bit of a blessing to me. Tony going down there and working with the guys in the research and development department. Since we rained out in Charlotte last week and a lot of rain came through the Carolinas, we were supposed to test in Kershaw, and we weren't able to do that because of the weather. So what I've done is I asked Tony to go down with my team Tuesday and Wednesday, tomorrow and Wednesday, to help my guys through that test in Kershaw, to kind of conduct it and work through that and work with Jimmy, because they just tested in VIR. So it's actually took a little bit of load off of me and made my life a little bit easier, so I don't have to worry about that, and I could focus on Dover and upcoming in Pocono. Yes. So I think for me it's a positive right now having him in the bag. I mean, he's a huge asset.
Well, anytime you can free up somebody like Tony Eury Jr. with all that
who
talent,
you worked with,
yeah, and all the knowledge that he has, it helps the organization. He's going to now contribute to every team.
Sure.
And obviously, I'll look at Tony Jr. I know him pretty good, and I watch him walk by, and he wasn't happy, and he wasn't feeling the love, and now he's been able to unbridle himself from all that and move into different areas of the company. For example, like Chad saying, "Darn, Tony, thank you." And, you know, that's rewarding. That Tony's like, "Yeah, good. I'm glad I can help." And that'll be good for all of Hendrick Motorsports. And one thing that's really important to me, it's going to be good for Tony Jr. because he's a good dude and he's a smart dude, and he doesn't deserve all the crap he's been going through. I can promise him.
All right, I guess time will tell. Boys, let's take a look at the highlights, shall we?
Let's do it.
The 00 for Michael Waltrip Racing, David Ruderman on the pole. Need to point out, good job by Richard Petty Motorsports. They had a bunch of cars, including Reed Sorensen there in the 43, qualify well.
They did, and Dover's one of those tracks that if you get a good setup, you can give that to your other teammates, and they can all feed off of that. And I think we've seen that with Roush Racing, and we saw the Hendrick cars do a lot of the same things this weekend, and a lot of those guys ran well. So I think the same thing happened at Richard Petty Motorsports.
Just saw the 48 go by Greg Biffle for the lead early. Let's move ahead now around lap 100. Green flag.
You move ahead, Lindsey Nelson.
Into the fourth quarter. Further action. Notre Dame leading Northwestern.
31-3.
That's it. Jimmy Johnson's going to pit, and the caution comes out for debris, and Chad's talked about this a little bit, which kind of messes things up. Everybody who had not pitted then makes their stops. 20 cars on the lead lap.
Why do you think it messed it up? I thought everything was okay.
Well, for you, it was sweet.
Usually NASCAR doesn't throw a debris caution in the middle of the pit stops. I guess it was a big chunk of debris that they couldn't avoid throwing it for, but usually they don't like to put themselves in that situation where you've got half the field that has pitted and the other half that hasn't, because it's a scoring debacle. There's so much going on they got to try to figure out, and they had to throw it though. And then the leader starts behind all of the guys that are tailing the lead lap, and it's hard for the. As a fan, I like that. Well, it's hard for the fans to sometimes understand what's going on. They're like, well, how does that even work? Let's just put a circle around this guy and he's leading, and look at all the mess that he's in. The leader's generally out in front having fun. Let's show you the leader right now. He's right here in the middle.
Okay, Mr. Camping World Truck Series analyst.
Get ready for some fun, hopefully this weekend at Pocono. We're going to double things up.
Double file restart.
Is that official? I don't think you can talk about it.
Shh. They handed stuff out to you guys at the driver's meeting, did they not?
I don't think we're supposed to talk about it yet.
Uh-oh.
I just want you to know it's going to be cool, though.
We just walked down the double file restart path, didn't we?
Whenever that happens, it's going to be fun.
This weekend, maybe. All right, our third highlight, Juan Pablo Montoya had a good run going in the 42, but he blows a tire on the front stretch. That ruins his day.
And real quick about this, he, I should say, typically runs up towards the higher part of the racetrack. Mm-hmm. And that played a big contributing factor in that.
And he doesn't, and he blew out a tire.
But he was pushing it very, very hard.
He being Denny Hamlin.
Was he leading?
He was second.
Okay, well then was he pushing it as hard as the guy leading? To me, it's almost setup. It all has to do with your setup. If your setup isn't quite matched to your tires, then if you're running 20th trying to get 18th, you're going to blow a tire maybe if you're pushing or abusing your car. Same thing with Denny, same thing with Juan Pablo. Maybe I agree with you with Juan. He goes way up there where nobody else goes, and you can't do that because it'll wear your tires out.
Other side of the coin, I heard Matt Kenseth all day saying, I'm taking it easy.
Yeah.
I'm being conservative.
He was the Eagles.
He what?
Taking it easy. Take it easy.
Coming up next, we saw a couple of hard wrecks early. Now we'll see some late. Plus, Kyle Busch led the most laps in the nationwide and the truck races, but didn't win, and we had a new winner in the truck series. Also, Pocono has the longest straightaway in NASCAR. Chad says that's his favorite track. He'll tell us why. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Hey, you want a chance to win the picture of Chad Canals and his driver Jimmy Johnson? Enter the Picture of the Week giveaway. Go to speedtv.com, click the show's tab at the top, go to the This Week in NASCAR page, and you'll see a link at the bottom of the page to email us. Put Monster Mile in the subject line and you'll be entered. Be sure to put your shipping address in the email. The winner will be revealed next week. The Tony Stewart picture from the All-Star win goes to New York. Unfortunately, we don't have a Rudiman Coke 600 picture because we didn't have a show.
You just got to be sitting back somewhere in the studio.
That's a tough break.
15 minutes will save you 15%.
I think it's Jeff's fault.
In case anybody was
just
wondering.
A fluke. That's the weather.
Do you know what the?
Do you know we're ahead in rain by 1.14 inches in Charlotte right now?
Do you know the name of that monster on that?
Miles.
Isn't that that's not the most intimidating name for a monster I ever heard. Like if somebody was coming after you and his name was Miles, I'd be like, okay, so what?
But that's a cool trophy.
I know, it's awesome.
Yes, it is. All right, let's move ahead to the highlights now, and we'll see our Geico greatest pit crew. It's going to go to the Killer Bees. Lap 275, we have a debris caution. Kenseth beats the 48 off pit road.
I'd be like, come get you some, Miles. I don't care.
Yeah. Miles. But 3 laps later, Jimmy Johnson hunts down Matt Kenseth.
I was out of the race at this point and just watching. Matt is a smart race car driver, obviously a champion, and he threw the gas down on the first lap and looked like he drove as hard as he had in his whole life, and he looked in his mirror and Jimmy was sitting right behind him straight. And I think Matt said, wow, I ain't going anywhere on this dude. And it wasn't just 2 laps later, Jimmy grabbed the lead. So that's frustrating as a race car driver. You know, you put your prettiest corner on them, you come off to turn 2, and you think, I really did something there. And you look in your mirror, and you can't even, all you can see is his eyes. You can't even see his hood. You're like, I believe I better let this guy go, because there's nothing in the future going to be good for me trying to hold him up.
While you're all proud of yourself.
Yeah, you're all fat and happy saying, did you see that corner, anybody?
No. Not so much. All right, down the backstretch, Paul Menard and Robbie Gordon get tied up.
Man, I hated this for Paul Menard. You know, we were pitted right next to those guys, and Larry Carter, I'm a big fan of his, and they did a very good job. They were running a very smart race. They showed great pit etiquette. I mean, they did a really good job, and man, they tore that car up. I think they were running like, what, 12th?
Yeah, they were on the lead lap, doing a great job, like you said, and Robbie Gordon as well was having a solid run, and that just shows you how fast things happen at Dover.
Yeah.
They come off that corner racing each other, which I saw them do a lot, but David Stremme gets sideways. They didn't have anything to do with what happened. You know, David Stremme gets sideways, comes off the wall, and he crashes those. David saves his.
Yep.
Those 2 crash. Don't blame David, though. That's how everyone drives at Dover. You're right on the edge. You're throwing it out there, and he got sideways. Those 2 were just at the wrong place at the wrong time and wound up crashing.
So
I saw it.
So big.
How'd you get home?
Denny Hamlin.
You flew up with Kurt Busch, but you flew home with Denny Hamlin.
Yeah. I'm bumming my way around this. This is going to be, I'm going to write.
Do you just go to the airport and like hitchhike?
I'm going to write a book about 2009, how I get places. Thank you, Kurt Busch and Ham Air. Really appreciate it. Denny said he was going to send me a bill, and I said, I've got some things going on in the Caymans with some money that I've got down there, and if I can get any freed up and loosened up and head this way, I'll send you a check.
Ooh. I thought the double file restart thing was bad. You're talking about offshore banking. All right, the sprint monster moment.
No, he's the one that showed it. That's where I got it from. I think I'm okay.
37 laps to go. Caution comes out for debris. Chad, this is where you guys had a little trouble. Tell us what happened here.
Well, there was a little mix-up right there. Our gas man typically pulls the rear tires, and for some reason, we just had a miscommunication, and they asked him to go to the front, pull the front tires in a pit stop like that, and it was a debacle. It was sad. It was Keystone Cops, and it's not what we should be doing, and the situation will be
Okay, says Chad. Greg Biffle wins the race off pit road, but he took just 2 tires. 4 cars took 2 tires. You guys were stuck back in 9th for the restart.
Yeah, and you know, we should have come off pit road probably 3rd, maybe 4th at worst if we'd had a clean pit stop. So, you know, that's why we opted to go ahead and get 4 tires, because we knew that our car was fast enough, especially on 4 tires compared to those guys that had 2, that we were going to be able to get by them pretty quickly. Unfortunately, just took us a little bit longer since we had to start 8th. But you know, nothing to get. I don't want to sound bad about my pit crew, because they do a great job. But we had a miscommunication there. We made a mistake, and we're going to fix it.
Time now for the Castrol smart move of the race. Michael talked a moment ago about David Stremme. We're going to take a look at what happened here. On the restart, hard into the inside wall.
Wow,
And
look
the
at
smart move.
Rudiman.
Oh, David Rudiman just misses him.
That is awesome. Watch
You haven't
this.
seen that, have you?
No, I haven't. And you know, we were talking about that at the competition meeting today. He said, "Did you see me miss Stremme?" I said, "Yeah." But I didn't.
He lied.
Hard left.
Wow.
That is amazing.
That's your driver.
You know what how he analyzed it? He said, "I knew I should go high, but at Dover, everything cleans to the low side." And he said, the longer I watch and slow down more, I said, I'm not going to fit high. I got to go low. And fortunately for David and Marcus, too, I really appreciate this in my drivers. They really work on their brakes. If they're tight, they'll put more rear brake in. If they're loose, they'll screw more to the front. So they're constantly working on their cars. And David said, I knew I had a lot of rear brake in my car because I was pushing. He said, so I just clobbered the brakes. And when he did, you saw the rear end jump sideways. Slid him right out of the way.
That was Joey Chitwood style.
You should give him a hug for that. That was nice.
I didn't see it before. I will.
That's right.
He saved your race car.
He did, and he also saved himself a top 20 finish and kept himself totally in the race for the chase. Can you get down with that, Chad?
Get some.
Get some of that.
Come on.
All right, here we go. The 48 starts the charge to the front. He gets by the 2 of Kurt Busch. Tony Stewart with the lead. Walk us through this, Chad.
We were, man, you know, he got on the outside of Tony a couple times, about drilled him here, and then got inside of him a couple of times, and just right there with Tony being able to use the whole racetrack, getting on the inside of him, he wasn't going to be able to commit and make the pass. So Jimmy really had to throw it out there real high and wide that time, and just got his nose on the outside of Tony, and Tony at that point realized that there was going to be no stopping him, so Tony kind of backed off. But it was very, very exciting for everybody at Hendrick Motorsports and the Cobalt team to be able to pull that off.
And I was fortunate. I was on Denny Hamlin's plane.
Ham Air.
He has Ham Air. He has Sirius Satellite Radio. And I got the good fortune, and very seldom do we get to do this as racers, but I got to listen to Barney Hall and Joe Moore and those guys call the finish of that race. And there's just something about listening to it on radio, because that's how I grew up listening, following racing was on the radio.
On the side of the road.
They can paint the pictures so cool. And it was like, here comes Jimmy, but can he get there? And I couldn't see. Obviously, it was radio.
Because you're on the plane eating a sandwich.
Yeah, and so they're like telling me what's going on, and I was so into it, and it was so dramatic and fun to listen to. So good job, MRN Radio, the voice of NASCAR.
The Vanscoy Diamond Mines 500 MRN Radio. That's it.
Wow,
when we come
old.
back, it is. We put the weekend in focus. Rutledge always seems to find crazy fans, but he is crazy. Plenty of action about the nationwide and Truck Series races. We'll show you the hard hits and the winners.
The Greatest Pit Crew has been presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. The Monster Moment has been brought to you by Sprint. For more NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, go to sprint.com/speed. The Smart Move of the Race has been presented by Castrol Edge. Think with your dipstick. Upgrade to new Castrol Edge Advanced Synthetic. Nothing offers better wear and protection.
Struck again. He's in the wall, then turn number 2.
This is a track full of surprises.
Keselowski to the lead.
Do we have a script? You're going off script.
Here
they come.
Ready to go. They almost touch.
Don't do that to me, dude. We're coming at you.
3 wide, and look who it is, Kyle Busch. Oh, trouble. David Stremme in the wall. Brian Scott will win at the Monster Mile. Jimmy Johnson and the Cobalt Tools, Lowe's Chevrolet.
We head to Pocono this weekend. Make sure you catch NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, and that coverage begins at 10:30 on Sunday morning. We had a triple header in Dover, Delaware. The Camping World Truck Series teams were supposed to race Friday night, but they got rained out. They ran Saturday night at 6 o'clock. 21-year-old Brian Scott from Boise, Idaho got his first career win.
Monster is struck again, this time in turn 2. And it's just taken the second place driver, Joe, Ron Hornaday, into the outside wall in turn 1.
Looks as though he might have had a right front problem.
They grabbed the jacks and the tires. They got the air guns in their hand. There may be a problem with the race leader, Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch is going to pit. He has got a vibration in the right front. He's going high on the track. Kyle Busch will come to pit road next time by.
In the wall, then turn number 2. The race leader, Kyle Busch, the dominator at Dover today. Pounds the safer barrier.
Also the 6 of Colin Brown. They were 1 and 2. Kyle loses the lead. Also Colin Brown now gets into the wall.
Very, very busy down on this end of pit road, but as you guys probably noticed, the 16 stayed on the racetrack, and Jeff Hensley said, I'm going to make a gamble here.
Making the gamble out in front. Dennis Setzer, Brian Scott. We'll see if Brian Scott can hold off the field. Green flag in the air. Brian Scott will win at the Monster Mile. Woo! Baby, yeah. Wow. Good job, guys.
The trucks race this Friday night at the Texas Motor Speedway. 8:30 the coverage starts. Michael Waltrip will be there if he can find a ride from Pocono, Pennsylvania to Texas.
Anybody got anything going from Pocono?
The Express. Just
from Wilkes-Barre.
Give a brother a call. Hook him up. Call up MW. The NASCAR Nationwide Series teams were in action Saturday afternoon. Brad Keselowski got his 3rd career win, first of 2009.
Trouble up in turn number 3. It's Ryan Newman explodes a tire and pounds the outside retaining wall.
Oh, yeah. Out. Not a good place for that to happen, but that's absolute worst.
There's a crash over there, turn 3. That's us.
All right, let's see if the monster's going to bite somebody else here in the final 3 laps. Can Kyle Busch hold them off? Here we go. Pocono gets a great start.
Yeah, he was ready for Kyle Busch right there. He's against him right there. He got him. Here goes Keselowski for the lead.
Keselowski to the lead. Problems for Kyle Busch.
What a finish here at Dover, Delaware. Brad Keselowski comes out of 4 and will pick up his first win in 2009.
That's how we roll.
How about that
put yourself in position, man, and you guys did it for me. I appreciate it.
Holy cow. Oh, man. Man, that was a finish. What a great day for Brad Keselowski.
Hey, coming up, do you remember who won at Pocono last August? We'll take a look back. Plus, what's more important, coming off turn 3 onto the Long Pond straightaway or going into turn 1 at Pocono? Our panelists will break it down.
Come on.
This weekend NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Well, this weekend marks the 63rd NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Pocono. The very first one was won there in August of 1974 by Richard Petty. Well, who won last August? Here's a look back.
This totally is truly a unique racetrack, as we said every time we come here. When you come to a track like Pocono, a lot depends on how hard the driver is willing to get up on the wheel, maybe take a little more chances. For the 62nd time in the history of this racetrack, the Cup cars are going racing here at Pocono. Green flag goes in the air.
Green flag, green flag.
It is a 2-car breakaway at the front of the field. The 2 cars are Jimmy Johnson and Mark Martin.
Doing good, old man. You're about 3/10 quicker than he is right now. You're doing good.
Car feels good right now.
Oh, Jesus, I'm struggling big time. I can do, but just keep fighting. Let that 24 hold you up, bud. That 88 is coming pretty quick. It's loose now. I need to pit. Yeah, we're going to pit next time by. You're right, we are. This is loose. I don't know about this weather, bud, though, so let's try to get a move on and get that 48 in case something happens. I'm going, buddy. Got you.
Carl Edwards has caught Jimmy Johnson. The matter of time is when he drops the hammer. Question is, when will it come and where?
I had 2 sprinkles hit my window. Main in the tunnel turn according to the 24 car. That's the direction it's coming from, too. The thing is, they're not going to rain it out, Bob. I don't think they're going to rain it out. I don't think there's enough rain.
Some of the leaders stay on the track. Some decide to come down pit lane. Casey Kane stayed out, hopes of the rain coming.
The rain really picking up here on the front straightaway. Everybody's covering the cars and the pit lane.
Well, we're about to get back to it because David Hoots, the race director next door over the NASCAR booth, has just passed the word for all the drivers to come back and get in the cars.
We're going back racing. Casey Kane shows the way on a single file restart.
Well, we're back in the lead now. We got to stop one more time, and them other guys don't, so.
Fuel is an issue for many of the guys in the top 10.
Great, bud, doing great. These guys might have to start slowing down a little bit to save fuel. It's flickering pretty bad now. We're out of gas. All right, pit. Come on, guys, get ready. How you doing on saving that fuel, buddy? Haven't really been saving any.
Carl's just taking it easy. A Sunday afternoon cruise in the Poconos. Carl Edwards will get the win in the Pennsylvania 500.
Bob, you are the man. You guys did an awesome job. Hell yeah. You are a wheel man. Cannot live without you, brother. All I do is go to the gym and have a good time. You're the one that works, man. I appreciate it.
If you look in the Pocono stat book, it says the front straightaway is 3,740 feet. I'm pretty sure a mile is 5,200 and some feet, 5,250. And I bet you, if you measure from the time you match your gas until you let off your gas, you're on it for over a mile. What an awesome feeling coming off that third turn with your foot on the floor and looking down at that long front straightaway. You know, growing up racing on a quarter mile back in Kentucky and some of the racetracks that we all grew up racing, you've never seen anything like that. And Pocono is unique. The tunnel turn is awesome. The third turn leading onto that long front straightaway is certainly something you don't see every day. I love that track.
Chad, it's amazing to follow up on what Michael said. you carry so much speed into turn one.
Yeah.
It's always amazed me how you get turned left like that.
And it's actually over 100. It's over 180 degrees. So it's very, very difficult to go down there. Did I say 180? I didn't mean that.
Look at that.
It's over 90 degrees. So it's difficult. But anyways, you're going so fast on this front straightaway. And with this car, we've actually started to use an awful lot of brake getting down into turn one. And another neat characteristic of this racetrack is down in the bottom groove, it's really, really gotten bumpy. So as the cars are going down into the corner, they're bottoming out, they're hitting the splitter, and it's very difficult for the guys. So they start to move up the track to get a better run coming off of that corner, getting down actually the second straightaway is about the length of your normal intermediate track straightaway, and it's one of the shorter ones on the track.
And you probably run close to 200 miles an hour on that straightaway. You get way up there. And just remember the job that Ham Air did a couple years ago when he showed up at Pocono. Never even seen that joint before.
2 for 2.
Won both races. So it's unique, and sometimes it just fits a guy's style. He just hits on something that he likes there.
Michael, back in the day, we used to talk about how you would have to compromise one corner to be good in the other two, or you'd want to be good coming off 3 to keep your momentum up. But now you've got to be good in all 3.
Somebody's going to figure it out. I mean, that's just the way things work nowadays. What I think the most important too are handling-wise is you got to get through 1 because you're going so fast when you get there, and you got to get through 3 in order to get on that front straightaway. Everybody just sort of deals with the tunnel. You know your car's not going to handle great over the tunnel. You just try to find you a groove through there and live with it. You got to be dialed in coming off 3 and going into 1.
I think he's trying to get Ham Air to go to Texas Friday.
He's definitely talking him up.
Has it got anything going on, you think, Friday evening?
He's giving him a lot of love.
You know, honestly, from a crew chief standpoint, that is the coolest racetrack that we go to.
And as a driver?
So many tools that you can work with. Aero, mechanical, tire pressure, engines, everything. It's awesome.
And as a driver, I agree. And he said tools.
He's got a toolbox to work from. Up next, we'll go into the Pocono archives to uncover a couple drivers that won 3 races in a row. That's Tim Richmond. He was one of them. Pocono's a unique track, to say the least, with 3 long, fast corners. The guys will tell us what they're like in more detail. Glad you're back with us here on This Week in NASCAR. Pocono is certainly one of the most challenging tracks in all of NASCAR. Why are you staring at me over there? Let's take a look back at some of the winners at Pocono.
For the 62nd time in the history of this racetrack, the Cup cars are going racing here at Pocono. Green flag goes in the air. Jimmy Johnson sets sail.
Jimmy got a bit of a break at the drop of the green flag, but Mark Martin bails it off into turn 1. He'll beat him there by a car length and a half. Mark Martin in the outside lane to the lead. Jimmy Johnson second.
The roster of winners at Pocono includes stars from the past.
Well, Bobby, the Pocono International Raceway has been good to you this year.
Well, it really has, Ned. Of course, I've always liked the track. It's a fun track to race on.
Bobby Allison in victory lane for the 3rd time.
And it's Richmond and Rudd across the finish in a virtual dead heat.
We know who the favorites are today. Down in the pool room, the siren will be going off down in Dawsonville, Georgia.
First man to win 5 times here at Pocono Raceway, 2 in 1985, 1 each in 1988 and 89. Bill Elliott, bringing it home.
Give me a sleeper, someone you think could really pull it off here today, maybe pull out the win.
Fans just eating it up. It has taken him 125 times. We've got a new first-time winner in NASCAR Winston Cup racing. Jeremy Mayfield wins at Pocono.
Hamlin, the rookie, starts on the pole, falls to 40th, then wins the Pocono 500.
Coming out of turn 3 for his 2nd career win. He sweeps at Pocono. Denny Hamlin, the race winner of the Pennsylvania 500.
I think if you take a look at the history of that racetrack and the great people that have actually won races there, it's going to be pretty amazing. You know, one thing that's really neat about that track is that once you're there in the spring, see, it's not like a lot of the racetracks we go to where we race there in the spring and then we go all summer long before we race there again maybe in the fall. We actually race within a span of just a couple of months. So once you go there early on, you get a good setup. If you're fast in the spring race, when you come back a month later, there's a good likelihood that you're going to be fast again. And I think that's why you see a lot of 2-time winners there, or multiple winners in the same year at that track. It's also something else you just got to pay attention to. I think you'll probably see this weekend, is you'll see a lot of left front tire wear. And the biggest reason for that is when you're going through the tunnel turn, a lot of guys will rub up on that curb, and you'll see a lot of flat tires because of that.
Yeah, and they call it tunnel turn because there's a tunnel that runs under it.
Really?
That's how you break it down. That's good stuff right there. As we've talked about, Pocono, the corners are very unique. All three turns very different. Michael, years ago, Terry Labonte said his favorite turn at Pocono was the one that led out to the airport.
Well, I just love
right here.
this track.
There's the curb.
That's a tunnel turn, and the reason why they call it that is there's a tunnel under it. And this is turn 3, and they call it that because it's the third one you come to. But, you know, interestingly enough, Chad, a couple years ago, they put that patch in, and we went up there and tested, and like, what did it take? 10 minutes before everybody ran down in the corner and said, I bet that patch is stickier than the regular road. And we just rang around the outside of that patch for through turns 3 and 4, and that was the fastest way. And then how you had a good car during that race was if you could go down low and find enough grip to pass someone up there on that patch. So it's the key. The key to Pocono is being able to go wherever you need to go. You know, you have to adjust your line and be able to drive your car wherever they're not, because it makes it really hard to pass a guy if you're following him.
Jeez. All right, let's take a look
Did
at
you guys
some
follow that? It's really hard to pass somebody when you're following them.
Right.
That's the point of racing, isn't it?
If you're right behind them, you're going to have to pull out.
All right, let's take a look at our programming opportunities.
I told Jeff it'd be a stretch for us to talk about that twice.
You did it. You did it. All right, on Friday, Sprint Cup practice, qualifying, and trackside. Jeff Gordon is going to be with us at 7:30 on Friday from Pocono. When we come back to This Week in NASCAR, a question about minimum speed. How fast does a wrecked car have to go to be able to stay on track? We'll get the answer next. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Hey, either one of you celebrities driven a Ferrari or a Lamborghini?
I've driven one a couple times.
A Lamborghini?
Ferrari.
I just drove Rick's 599 a couple weeks ago. Ferrari.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Well, Tanner Faust is going to host Supercars Exposed. That's coming up next. He takes us on the super sexy, exotic, and unbelievable world of high dollar and exotic automobiles. The profile on today's show is the Lamborghini Murcielago. This is a four-wheel drive car with 6.2-liter V12 engine. It also has a rear spoiler that can be raised to 70 degrees, side mirrors that fold in to improve aerodynamics, and side scoops that automatically open to the needed size to let in just the right amount of air needed to cool its engine. Sticker price $313,000. Catch Supercars Exposed coming up next right here on Speed.
You know, I don't think that you call a Lamborghini a four-wheel drive. I think it's all-wheel drive.
Ooh.
I wouldn't know because I
think four-wheel drive is more of a pickup truck type thing.
That's pretty impressive, all that has, but I want you to know my Toyota Prius, when I stop at a stoplight, the motor turns off. It's the coolest thing ever.
I love that.
It's hybrid.
Hybrid, I like that. Time now for the Z-Max Fuel for Thought email segment.
Could you imagine what we would have saved over the year on our...
We just turned it off?
Just shut it right down.
All right, what is the minimum speed we hear so much about? And Michael, how many chances do you get to run the minimum speed? That comes from Sydney.
The minimum speed is a mathematical equation based on happy hour times and the fall off that happens in happy hour, and what NASCAR predicts would be normal fall off during the race. And they'll work with you. You know, they'll tell you have one chance to make the minimum speed, and if you don't make it, you can come to pit road and work on your car. They want you to be able to finish if you can, so they will try to work with you. But if you constantly can't make the minimum speed, they will park you.
In other words, you don't want to be a rolling chicane.
Nope.
Nope. Our second email question has to do with the digger cam that you see on NASCAR on Fox. What type of camera is it, and is a hole cut in the track? I called Artie Kempner, our director for NASCAR on Fox today. It is a high-definition lipstick camera, although it's smaller than a tube of lipstick. The diameter of the track is about 3 inches around, and it is attached to a cable that goes to a fiber patch at the racetrack.
I thought you were going to say it was attached to a gopher.
No. There are, most tracks have 2, and some tracks have 4.
Wow.
So anywhere from 2 to 4.
How'd you like me getting to answer a Z-Max Fuel for Thought email question?
I like that.
Thank you. Hey, you want a chance to win that great picture of Chad and Jimmy? To enter the picture of the week giveaway, go to speedtv.com, click on our show tab, put Monster Mile in the subject line, and you're entered to win. The winner will be revealed next week.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Brought to you in part by Mike's Hard Punch. Mix up a whole new party. And by NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. Your debit card, your credit card, your driver. Learn more at a Bank of America banking center.
We're really short on time, so congratulations on the 600.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the Autism Speaks 400.
Thank you.
And if you can give Michael a ride to Texas, that would be great.
See me on Speed next Friday night.